Welcome in. Let's talk about starting and growing a successful YouTube channel this year. Now, last year, I created a channel called Kayla's Cash, and I actually grew this channel to monetization, but you might notice if you look at my name right now, this is not Kayla's Cash, this is Kayla Marie, and I decided to start a brand new YouTube channel this year. Now, after growing a channel to monetization, I have learned a lot, and I've learned what I want to do differently, and I've gathered a lot of different tips and tricks. And within this video, I want to share these with you guys, and I've made sure to divide this video up into 11 different sections, and these are going to be sections that everybody is going to encounter within their YouTube journey. So let's just jump right into the first section, which is going to be actually starting your YouTube channel. Now, when you start a YouTube channel, it can be very intimidating because you're creating content and you don't know who exactly you're posting to. Who is watching my videos? Who is judging me? Are my peers watching my videos? But I found YouTube to be the easiest when you just overall stop caring what other people think about your content. At the end of the day, you want to be creating content for yourself, but hey, maybe one random stranger out there is going to be getting value from your content, or maybe even a laugh, whatever your goal is. Now, a lot of the time when people start creating content, it's because they want to be making money, which, hey, I get it, girl. I want to buy those Harry Styles tickets too. But if you go into the mindset of creating content only with this underlying tone of, hey, I want to be making money off of this, the output of your channel is going to be a lot different. And the energy that you put into your videos is going to appear to your audience. It is a completely different approach if you're approaching this as a hobby rather than just as a money-making machine, let's say. And if you're treating YouTube as a money-making machine, I'm not saying overall that this is a bad thing, because hey, I get it, you want to be paid for the videos that you're making, but this can be good, but it can also make your content feel a bit more ingenuine. And you're just gonna struggle further on down the line. But if there's passion behind your videos, it is going to show to your audience. Trust me, I know it will. Now, the next thing that I want to say, which is actually my favorite quote, is comparison is the thief of joy. This is my absolute favorite quote, and it is so true when it comes to content creation, because it is so easy to see other people blowing up overnight and then looking at your channel and thinking, oh my gosh, what am I doing wrong? But in reality, everybody's journey is different, and we don't see everybody's struggle behind the camera. Everybody grows differently, and it is so important to not compare your journey to somebody else's. So next up, let's talk about planning your videos. Now, I know there are a lot of videos out there, including my videos, that say the very first step of creating a YouTube channel is always going to be picking your niche. Now, there are creators out there that don't have a specific niche, which honestly, I am jealous of, because that means that they have a really good personality, or maybe they have a broader niche and they dive into different sub-niches. I would say from a business perspective, it is very important to have a niche, because that way you have a specific audience that you're nailed down to, and then let's say if you wanted to sell something in the future or promote a product, you have a specific audience and you know their interests, you know their wants, you know what videos they're going to expect from you. It's overall just going to be more consistent. But then on the other hand, I completely understand you are a human and you don't have just one interest in this world. It's like when you're going to college and you have to pick a major, and it's like, well, how do I nail myself down to just one specific thing that I want to do for the rest of my life? Terrible. It's terrible and it's hard. But when it comes to picking a niche, you overall just need to be picking something that you are interested in. And when opportunities come to you further on down the line, having a specific niche is going to be a good idea. Now, my rule of thumb when it comes to creating videos is only creating videos that you would be interested in watching. Because if you're not interested in a video that you're creating, what makes you think that other people are going to be interested in that video as well? Now, this is going to be advice that I found from YouTube themselves, but they say that you can create your content in 3 different types of uploads. There's going to be hub, there's going to be help, and then there's going to be hero content. Your hub content is going to be those familiar ideas that keep your audience coming back. So this could be something like a series. Your help content is going to be videos that answer maybe evergreen questions that people have, and these are going to be types of videos that bring in new viewers, and maybe this is how they even discover your channel. Because you're answering a specific question, or you're helping somebody with something, you're giving a tutorial of some sort. And lastly, we have the hero content, and this is going to be maybe your quote-unquote viral moments, because it's going to capture something that is trending or maybe a viral moment. And these can be videos that are going to bring in viewers overnight and quickly. But the key here is not locking yourself down to one specific type of upload. You want to have a mix between hub, help, and hero. So I recommend doing 40% hub videos. That way you're keeping your core audience engaged, 30% help videos for a steady growth, and 30% hero uploads for that potential breakthrough moment for your channel. Next, let's talk about equipment, and let me tell you, you do not have to have a $2,000 camera to go viral. And this is a common misconception, but many successful creators just simply film with an iPhone. I mean, I see people filming with their phones and getting 500,000 views. I have invested in a nice camera and that's not necessarily bringing me in the views. So let me tell you, it is not the equipment that is holding you back. But if you are choosing to film on something like an iPhone, let me tell you a setting that is going to change the game. I want you to be using your back camera, and I know it's a little hard because you can't see your beautiful face while you're recording, and to me, this is so difficult. On my camera, I have a little thing that shows my face, and it's so hard to not just stare at what I look like because I want to know what I look like on camera, but I have to look at the lens. So film with the back camera at 4K to 60 frames per second. And this is a very small thing that you can change in your settings, but it's going to make all the difference. Now, if you're wanting to invest in small but essential equipment, one thing that I would say if you're not doing a faceless channel, I'm assuming, I would get something like a tripod and a ring light. That way you can bring your camera everywhere you go, and this could even be a tripod for your phone. And then a ring light is very important because if somebody clicks on a video and you're sitting in the dark, who is gonna wanna watch that? And I've seen tripods and ring lights at like Walmart for $15 to $20, so it's not going to break the bank. Now let's say you did want to splurge on a camera, I would suggest using the Canon M50. And we simply just went into a camera store and we were like, hey, what is the best camera for something like vlogging or a YouTube channel? And that is the camera they suggested to us, and it is my favorite thing ever, and it is very good for pictures as well. I take it with me everywhere. I did get a little bit of an upgrade like a year ago, and now I have a Sony camera. This is bad, I don't even know what it's called. But a Canon M50, very good first purchase for a camera, and I still use it to this day. Another thing that's important if you have a physical camera here that's not an iPhone, you're gonna need a microphone because although they do have a built-in microphone, it's not good. You're gonna have to have something else. Now this is just $15 from Amazon. It's not anything crazy. But if you don't wanna use that, just use the voice memo app on iPhone, and when you're editing, you can sync it up. It's not hard at all. And lastly, you'll just need an SD card, which you can get from Target, Amazon, Walmart. Next, let's talk about actually sitting down and filming. Now, when I got started with my channel, Kayla's Cash, I found it so unbelievably awkward to sit here and talk to a camera, and then found it even more awkward to sit here and watch the video that I just created because I was like, oh my gosh, I'm blinking too much, or oh my gosh, I hate how I said this word. And getting started on YouTube, I grew up with a brother who is very involved in YouTube. His channel is Make Money Matt, shameless plug, but I saw him doing it, so I was like, hey, I'm gonna make my own channel, I can do it too. And I was like, I don't know how he does this when I first got started. But I talked to him and he told me that is exactly how he felt as well when he started his. And something that I found to be very helpful to kind of get past that awkwardness is going to be just looking through the camera almost. Looking through the camera and pretending like you're having a conversation with a friend or somebody you're very comfortable with. Which when you think about it, it's essentially what we're doing because I'm talking to viewers, but in a very parasocial way because I'm looking at a black hole right now. But as time goes on, it just gets easier and easier to record videos. Let me tell you, you're never going to absolutely love the first video that you film. And sometimes I would hate the video so much that I would sit down and record it again and spend like 3 hours recording a video. And sometimes I even do that now, I hate to say it, because I'm like, no, I just didn't like how I was talking, or I record the intro like 10 different times. But the key is to just act like you're talking to a friend. Be natural. Another tip is going to be keeping up with the pace of your video because let me tell you, nobody has an attention span right now. And nobody's going to be sitting through an hour-long video of you doing absolutely nothing. So the faster you change topics, honestly, the better, which is why I have 11 different sections within this video and I let it be known right when I started the video. So also make sure that your video is constantly changing, whether it be with visuals or maybe you're adding some text here and there or some sound effects. That way people don't get bored and just click off. These are minimal changes that you can make, but it adds a lot of retention. And I wouldn't say to over edit your videos, just make sure that something is happening every now and then. So next, let's talk about editing. And when you're getting started with editing, there will be so many people telling you, you need to buy an expensive software. You need to get this, you need to get this. No, you don't. You just need CapCut. And CapCut is free. You don't even need CapCut Pro. It has all of the features that you need when getting started out. I mean, we're not making Mr. Beast level videos quite yet, so why would we be needing to pay over $200 for something like Final Cut Pro? Do not worry about that yet. With CapCut, you can add in videos, you can cut the videos, add in text, add in music, add in some fun effects, and that's all we need right now. Next, I want to talk about thumbnails, and thumbnails are very important because a lot of the time it is the first thing that people see before they click on your video. And honestly, for me, I see the thumbnail before I see the title. I don't know about you guys, but that's how my brain processes things on YouTube. And if your thumbnail looks boring, people are simply going to just scroll right past. So if you're adding text within your thumbnail, make sure that it is legible. And something that I like to do is just simply make sure that your thumbnail looks good in different formats, whether it be on a TV screen or on a phone or on your laptop. And let's say you spent a lot of time creating a video. You've scripted it, you've recorded it, now you've made edits to it, but none of that is going to matter if your thumbnail is not strong. You've put all this effort in and then nobody clicks. That would just be a bummer. Next, let's talk about uploading. And this is where we need to make sure that our videos can be properly searched for and our videos are just getting suggested to the correct people. So this is where we need to make sure that we're optimizing our titles, tags, thumbnails, and descriptions, all of it. And this just means putting in the correct keywords that relate to our videos. So if your video is about cooking, let it be known that it's made about cooking. Also, something that a lot of tutorial videos don't touch base on is what days you necessarily post on YouTube. Now, I've heard creators say, hey, I don't like to post on Sunday because a lot of people won't be watching my video. Monday is coming up, they're busy. But then on the other hand, for other creators, Sunday is a great day. So it really depends on just paying attention to when your audience is online and then posting maybe the night before. And this is going to tie into our next section, which is analytics. And this is something that you should be keeping up with after every upload that you post. When you upload a video, give it a second to breathe, but do not forget about checking on its analytics, because this is going to be YouTube's way of telling you exactly what your viewers want more of and what they want less of, what is working, what is not working. You can find all of this within YouTube Studio, which is where you uploaded your video. There is also this new feature within YouTube Studio where you can ask an AI specifically what is going right within your channel and what is going wrong, and it can give you some tips and tricks. And this is perfect because it takes out so much of the guesswork and all of that thinking, oh my gosh, what am I doing wrong? Now that maybe we've created some videos and we've posted them, we need to grow our channel, but how do we do this? The number one rule that I'm sure you've heard everybody say out there is that consistency is key. You do need to be treating YouTube as a job, sort of in regards to set a schedule for yourself, because that way your audience knows when you are showing up for them. I love when my favorite creators will say, hey, we post a podcast episode every Wednesday. So then every Wednesday, it's kind of like I'm waiting for a TV show to come out. I'm like, I know exactly what I'm watching on Wednesday night, or maybe Tuesdays and Thursdays. And when your audience does show up for you, make sure you are engaging with them, whether it be responding to comments or making a video that somebody had a request for. And the algorithm is going to favor this engagement actually, but also your viewers will love it as well. So it's a win-win. Let's say there is a topic currently blowing up within your niche. Make sure that you take advantage of this. Or maybe there's a seasonal trend. For an example, with vloggers, they do Vlogmas, where they vlog every day of Christmas. If there is a trend like that within your niche, within your world, make sure you jump on it and figure out what authenticity you can bring to the table and what twist you can bring to this trend. Another thing that I always love to do is finding gaps within what other creators are creating. Let's say somebody creates a video on how to grow on YouTube and I want to create a video on how to grow on YouTube. I find what questions people are asking in the comments and what gaps I can fill and make that idea mine. This next tip is something that I slack a little bit on, but it's having different social media accounts that feed into your YouTube channel. So this could be Instagram, TikTok, Facebook even. That way you can unlock a completely different audience and kind of filter that audience into YouTube. It doesn't always work, but it is a good way to expand your reach. All right, now the best feeling with your YouTube channel is when you finally reach 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time and you're monetized and you're getting checks from YouTube. But let me tell you, YouTube is not just about ad revenue anymore. And I'm not saying this to be negative. It's actually a positive thing because we can technically make money from YouTube before we even get monetized by YouTube. And this could be through things like building your own product or affiliate marketing even. But if you build a genuine audience, then chances are you're going to bring in some brand deals, which oftentimes pay more than ad revenue. So exciting. And if a brand reaches out to you and they're asking you to promote their product, I would only promote this product if this is a product that you would recommend to a friend or a family member. Because remember, your audience trusts you so much and your recommendations so much. So they're going to affiliate those recommendations that you give them to your brand. So only recommend credible resources. Now, something that you can also do to appear a little bit more professional is make sure that the email you are giving to people isn't something silly. Something that I also had to change recently, I found out that I was applying to jobs with a Marceline from Adventure Time profile picture, which, hey, I love it. I love Marceline, but maybe that shouldn't be your profile picture when you're having professional encounters. So just make sure that you're aware of those types of things, basically. Something that not a lot of people talk about is the reality of being a content creator. You could be making $1,000 one month and not that much the next. And this can be very unpredictable, which is why you need to understand the algorithm and be able to keep up with it. So at this point, you have two choices. You can do all of this with trial and error, or you can learn from somebody that has been growing YouTube channels for over 10 years now, which is going to be my brother Matt, and he has helped tons of other people grow their channels as well. He has a course, and if you're interested in it, make sure to check out the link in my description to schedule a call, or you can check out a free training on this right here. Make sure to check it out, and we'll see you guys there. And always remember, comparison is the thief of joy. Everybody's journey is different.